Okay, it's the weekend and I just need to clean my apartment, right? I have to clear some space. Now, what was taking up a lot of space in my apartment was these storage containers. A few months back, I had purchased like a bulk amount, like, I don't know, 50 something. And I already emptied some of my items into these containers like flour and etc. But yeah, the box is huge. And so I'm going to take the opportunity to restock my pantry. Now, I've been to Aldi mostly for corn flour, bicarb and chocolate chips and all that fun stuff. But I have been restocking my items for like a good week and a half, 2 weeks now. So I've got these labels. I think they were from Kmart. And I've had them for a good, I don't know, 2-3 years. I obviously haven't used all of them, so we're going to see what I can use. And other things I've had to kind of create. For example, I have baking flour, right? So the actual cookie cake flour, right? And I want to distinguish between regular plain flour. So I've just kind of cut the baking powder from baking, and I think this was self-raising flour, which I don't keep in the home, and smush them together. So labels. Yeah, the reason why I don't keep self-raising flour at home is because I don't know how much leavening agent is in each brand. So I like to just use bicarb soda or baking powder. That way I know for sure. So I'm going to just restock, and you're going to restock with me. Okay, so you're now looking at one of the shelves in my pantry. I'm standing very precariously on a step ladder. So this shelf is way above my head. It's actually the second shelf down. Now, in modern day apartments, you don't get a lot of storage. This is something that I don't think people talk about enough. And people on YouTube have beautiful, beautiful kitchens, yeah? And to be fair, my kitchen is pretty beautiful, yeah? I've got marble. But I don't have storage. And in fact, this is pretty much it, yes? An arm's length, yes, of from here to here, yeah? I do have it floor to ceiling, and it is deep, very deep. Now, I have to play a bit of Tetris with the things that I don't use as often. On this shelf, I like to keep things like sugar, brown sugar, icing sugar, breadcrumbs. Oh, that's a bug on my apartment, trying to hit the fly screen. I don't know whether you heard that. And Korean pancake mix. Now, I do prefer these containers over my old ones because they are better for the air seal. They are a bit of a faff to get off because it's 4 snaps, but they will keep better. and they stack when they stack. Now I can control where I put these shelves, and I have, but you know, I'm all about maximizing my storage. So let me get the rest of my flour in. Okay, this is where I have to be honest with myself and think about the things that I use most often. Now, I do actually need to get my step ladder out nearly every single time that I cook. You know, but I do put the things that I reach for more often at the front, and here I can just reach this one here. So baking flour, I don't need as often, so this one is going to the back. I'm leaving the brown sugar there. Breadcrumbs, I don't tend to use this as often. Icing sugar, I definitely don't use as often. Flour, I use very often. Yes, I use it as a thickener, you know, just, it needs to stay up front, plain flour. Baking soda, I use this actually to clean quite, but it goes here. So this one's going to stay here. Potato starch, I don't use as often, so it can go to the back. Sugar, you know, a teaspoon of it in many things, so that stays here. Corn flour, I use quite a lot. If you watch the cooking videos, you see I make a corn flour, kind of cornstarch slurry for a lot of things, so it needs to stay here. Korean pancake mix. I should eat this. I haven't had this in a while. And rock sugar, so that can stack on here. And same things with my choc chips, so they can go and stack on top. I do have some storage space, but again, not that much, so that's going to be this shelf pretty much done. And I'm moving you on to the next shelf down, which is already pretty much organized, but I'll show you what I've done. Okay, this is my next shelf down, and it's about the same size, but this is where I can reach, you know, pretty easily. Now, to be fair, these pantry shelves are very deep, so, you know, longer than my whole arm. I can, you know, put quite a lot in here if I am strategic. This is where I put things that I reach for more often, and let's be honest, it's the snacks. So I've got snacks, sweet snacks right here. It's some pineapple cakes, some leftover biscuits. I've got some mochi in there, and I've just used these clear containers, which I got from Kmart. They make it very easy so that I can just literally pull out the whole tray. So I've got 4 of these clear containers to the side, not in frame, and I've got my pasta here, penne pasta, and I've got my rice. Okay, so 2 giant containers of rice. I'm going to throw my other pasta in here now. Now, why do I have 2 giant things of pasta? Is because this is the cheapy pasta. It's like the, you know, $1 something per bag kind of pasta. Whereas this is the more expensive pasta. Can you see the difference in color? Yeah. I'm actually considering throwing this out. Honestly, sometimes when I eat pasta, it makes me a little bit sick. I don't really feel good and I have a hard time digesting it. But when I eat this better quality one, it's not so bad. So it's more expensive because it's actually dried slower, so the color is better. So I actually was like, oh, you know, who's buying the $5 pasta? Apparently me, because I think it does taste better. Anyway, emergency pasta, I will eat through this regardless. You know, waste not, want not. See, this shelf, I don't need to get my ladder out on, but I do need to be on tippy toes to put things in the back. So, penne pasta here, rice here, honesty snacks here. Now, I also have my egg fettuccine. This needs to go somewhere. Problem. This will have to do for now. Putting it in the snack container. Yeah, I could do with eating fewer snacks. Now, to be fair, I'm not a huge snacker. So that's why when things go on special or I go to Costco, I buy things in bulk and I stack things up. You know, I show you my grocery hauls and I don't think I can be accused of being a massive snacker. I actually used to be a huge snacker when I was living with mum and dad because there's space in the pantry. And I actually feel like one of the biggest benefits of having such a small pantry is that I literally just can't buy things. Yeah, if I want to eat chips and all of that, yeah, I mean, it's got to go somewhere. And as you can see, I don't have the space. I'm actually going to turn you to see the other side of it. As you can see, that is the wall. Yeah, and I've got a quarter bag of chips at the very back. So that's the second drawer done. We're now at the shelf that is unmovable, right? I've got a structural thing here, so I can't fiddle with these shelves. I've also got my microwave here, yep, and this shelf also can't move. Now, I have a large microwave. I have a Panasonic microwave. It's large, and the reason why it's large is because basically I need a really good microwave. Yeah, the first time I moved out of home, I bought one of those crappy Kmart ones, and I like to freeze my meals. So yeah, the outside is molten lava and the inside is ice. Buy a good microwave, yeah, but it's large and it takes up like all of my space. It also has to go here because it's got a power plug at the very back. So, you know, tough luck, it's got to go here. Now, to maximize this space in the, you know, shelves that cannot be moved, cannot be altered, I have a Lazy Susan, a turntable, on which I have put my microwave covers, my measuring jug, and some soup cups now. I like to just use these sometimes as storage. So think about them as Tupperware. So very easy for me. I also put my cork heat pads here. So that's this drawer. The next shelf down is actually the shelf that I use, well, most often, right? That's why it's the second bottom one. The shelf level starts at about my knee, so you have to squat down to reach it. But that's okay, because what I do is I've got, again, these storage tubs, these clear ones from Kmart, and I've just put all of my herbs and spices and my oils here. So these are things that I use regularly, in fact, every single time I cook. So that's why they've got to go here. I'd rather bend down than get up high. I'm a very short person. So I like to keep a very well-stocked pantry. Let's have a look at what I've got. Salt, pepper, white pepper, you know, baking powder, chicken bouillon, things like, I keep a lot of dashi. I use a lot of dashi, so that goes here. Things like, you know, paprika, garlic powder, cinnamon, 5-spice, cayenne, chili, all of that stuff. I think it's really important to have a huge selection of spices at home. That way you're not buying the spice packets, yeah? And although it is expensive to buy for the very first time, yeah? Like the very first time you move out of home, you're thinking, oh my God, I think I just spent a couple $100 on spices and, you know, getting my pantry started. Yeah, that's true. But once you have them, you got to use them, right? I use things like olive oil, got sunflower oil, a bit of spray oil. Now, I don't tend to use spray oil, but I, keep it on hand. Mirin, which I use quite a lot. Soy sauce, which I buy by the 2-liter jug. And to the back in the dark corner over here, I've got things like Chinese cooking wine, a bit of sake, sesame oil, fish sauce, the stuff that I don't use as often. Dark soy sauce, which I do use, but it's got a yellow cap on it, so it's easy to find. Then again, these go 2 drawers deep, and it's just very easy for me to pull out, right? And the things that I stock as, easy meals, things like golden curry, yes? Throw it in the Instant Pot with some beef, or even do it on the stove with some chicken, easy. I also have the jarred stuff of the pre-made things like massaman curry paste, which I buy when it's on special. Then I put here, ready to go, with a can of coconut milk. So it's, pretty much all I have to do is buy my meat for that week. And, easy things like corn kernels and a bit of seaweed at the back. To the side here, because they don't fit in anything, I've got extra spices, things like star anise and cinnamon sticks. And I always keep jats on hand, but it's feeling a bit light. So this is my drawer. I also have a paper towel hanger here to maximize space, because now we look at the very bottom drawer. The very bottom drawer is where I have to put my pots and pans. So we're looking at the floor now, and here we are. So I have cheese boards up the wazoo. To keep them flat, I just stack my pots and pans and woks in here. I've got my saucepans here. I've got a variety of fry pans. Now, if you watch my cooking videos, I don't use a fry pan as much as a wok. A wok is way more versatile, so I recommend using a wok. I have 2. Towards the very back there, I have a giant storage tub in which I have just put my lids. And in that very dark corner over there, I have my mixing bowls and my paper towels. So that's why this shelf here is by the ground, right? It's heavy and needs to be easily accessible. Now we're looking at the very top shelf of my pantry. As you can see, that's the ceiling. So I again like to use these clear containers from Kmart. They also have them in the white containers, not clear, and IKEA also sells these. In fact, when I first moved in here, I went to IKEA and I bought them at about $4.50 a container. I believe they are cheaper at Kmart. This one sets me back $3.50 at Kmart. Anyway, so I have things like drinking cocoa. I like to sprinkle some on my cappuccino. Got my vanilla extract, got my cocoa powder, extra refill of the ground pepper, which I use for the small one, down on the second shelf. Cupcake liners, that kind of stuff. And this is where I have to be putting all of my cake muffin tins and containers and baking trays. So it all goes in the back. Again, very deep shelf, so that's where it all goes. These are things that I do not use very often. Yeah, and also my big restock of hondashi up here, and a couple cake boards and cake tins and all of that stuff. So I am standing on the top step of my step ladder here, and I still can't really reach. So again, tubs make it easier for me just to pull out one at a time. This is actually my stove area. As you can see, it's very small. If you watch my cooking videos, then you might think it's a larger space than it actually is. But let's have a look. I've got a 4-burner gas stove. I do have a marble splashback, as is my bench over there. I've got cooking utensils. tongs, and if you watch my cooking videos, you know I cook a lot with spatulas. Yes, in fact, I actually recommend using a silicone spatula above anything else because they're good for everything, which is why I have a heap of them. I also have a mug, which I broke. I'm quite clumsy, and you know, I usually just put my dirty utensil in here so while I cook. Yeah, as you can see, I've got limited space, and the most awful thing in history, which is a PowerPoint with no space. As you can see, no space. Which idiot designed this? Now, to be fair, where I live, if you have a 2-bedroom or a 3-bedroom apartment, you get heaps and heaps of side space, like enough for you to put your espresso machine. I don't. Yeah, I have a 1-bedroom apartment, and this is as good as it's gonna get. And to the side, I've got my pantry and the wall. It's not very big, so let's have a look. Now, I do have these door bumper things on the wall, so I can just smash my door handle in. So let's have a look. And that's the entirety of my pantry space. As you can see, modern day apartments do not give you a lot of space. You have to maximize all of your storage space as much as you can. Now, for this reason, I have my knives on a magnetic knife block, both sides. And I like to keep my cutting boards here, and the ones that I use quite frequently, you know, by the sink. I do have a little bit of extra space, which is right above my exhaust, tiny, and that's where I keep my coffee. Yes, I would die without it. And on the other side, same thing. I keep tea here. I'm not a tea drinker, but my best friend has decided to use my place as storage for the stuff that she wants to drink when she's here. So, easily accessible. Oops. At the very top, I have extra, you know, drinking jugs and all of that stuff. So that's it. I am very much saved by having good bench space, which is on the other side. Yeah, I think the big fat problem of modern day apartments is a lot of them give you like a galley kitchen, which is not enough prep space. I have a full-on prep space, which is where you get to see me do all of my preps. It's parallel to this, so it's on the other side, and it's where I do my grocery hauls. So that's it. I hope this gives you inspiration if you're living in an apartment. And I think it also gives a lot of people who have homes, who have Australian houses, a show of what it's really like. You know, where in modern apartments, you don't get a lot of storage space. You get very little pantry space, as you can see, so you have to really maximize what you have.